Hey guys, what's going on? Mike the Caveman Q here again from Paleo Palm, Long Island, MikeTheCaveman.com. And today's question is, does starvation mode exist? And the answer is, yeah, kinda, but not likely in the way you're thinking. So, this is going to be a fun one. Similar to the recommendations for cholesterol and low fat, as well as focusing on calories in, calories out, as well as the recommendations for low salt, the problem we have with starvation mode is that if you repeat something often enough, it starts to stick. Now, if only that could be the case for people eating real foods, but that would just be a crazy idea. Now, economist Frederick Bastiat was famous for saying, "We must admit that our opponents in this matter have a market advantage over us. They need only a few words to set forth a half-truth, whereas in order to prove that is a half-truth, we must resort to long and arid dissertations." Even that quote is a mouthful to say. But let's begin. Now, while working with clients, I often resort to a thought experiment, whereby I say, if you didn't have a refrigerator, or you didn't have a supermarket, or a restaurant, or just anywhere that had immediate access to food, how would you eat? And the answer, of course, is that, well, you'd have to go out and get it. Whether it be by foraging, or gathering, or hunting, it doesn't matter. You had to expend energy in order to be able to eat. But let's just operate under the assumption that the body does self-cannibalize as soon as you have the slightest inkling of loss of energy intake, of food intake. How exactly would you have the energy to obtain that next meal? In fact, in the short term, your body actually increases metabolism. It increases the rate of energy production through the release of epinephrine and norepinephrine, which are the stress hormones, in order to get you to actually get up and move and find that food, as well as provide you with some mental clarity so that you're able to focus on that objective. But, warning, science alert, let's dig a little deeper. I mean, I know I always throw a lot of science at you, but we're going to go super deep into this one so there is no confusion, or lots of it. So if at this point we get some attrition, I understand. The normal primary fuel source in the body in an average person is, of course, glucose. Dietary fructose is metabolized in the liver, where it's converted either into glucose, where it's stored as glycogen in either the liver or the muscles, or it's converted into free fatty acids, where it's stored in adipose tissue. In the absence of dietary glucose, insulin levels drop, glucagon levels rise, as well as the aforementioned epinephrine and norepinephrine. Those go up as well. This initiates the process of glycogenolysis as your body taps into your liver stores of glycogen, roughly 80 to 100 grams of sugar. After which point, your body begins to break down adipose tissue through lipolysis into glycerol and free fatty acids. The glycerol then undergoes gluconeogenesis for the creation of sugar, particularly for the brain, whereas the free fatty acids undergo beta oxidation, where they can be used by most cells, or they get converted to ketones, where they're used by the brain, heart, and muscles. For the next 2 or 3 days, the remaining created sugar gets partitioned primarily to the brain, whereas the rest of the body uses either those free fatty acids and, to a lesser extent, the ketones. After which point, the production of ketones actually jumps, and the brain begins to get around 30% of its energy from ketones, whereas by day 4, that number has jumped to 75% of its energy from ketones in the brain. What's interesting is that while the brain normally needs roughly 80 grams of sugar, roughly the same amount that's stored as liver glycogen per day, once you start converting to ketones, that number actually drops to around 30 grams a day, 20 of which can be provided by that glycerol going through gluconeogenesis into glucose, which leaves with a net loss of about 10 grams of sugar that the brain has to make up from somewhere. Where does that happen from? Well, that last 10% generally comes from the breakdown of protein in the muscles. Roughly 20 to 30 grams of protein are needed to be catabolized and undergo gluconeogenesis in order to produce that remaining 10 grams of glucose. Now, this process of breaking down the muscle tissue to provide that last 10 grams doesn't usually begin until roughly 28 hours after complete total fasting on nothing but water, and that's operating under the assumption that there was no protein intake in the meal preceding the fast. Moreover, we don't even see a downturn in metabolic rate, slowing down your metabolism, until roughly 60 to 96 hours after a complete and total fast, at which point we're looking at a reduction of about 8%, which, again, really not that crazy. The reason being, if at this point, after 3 to 4 days, you still haven't found food, it's no longer advantageous to get you off your butt expending energy to try and find more. It's better to try and just sit there and wait for food to come to you and just fall on your lap. Which I guess would be kind of nice if we're talking about like bacon. I don't know. Either way, are we starting to see the problem here with the concept of the starvation mode? Evolutionarily speaking, fasting is a completely normal and natural part of the human condition. In fact, essentially every culture has in it fasting as part of its historical or religious ceremonies in some fashion or another. And no, vegans, this does not mean you should go juice fast. No. That being said, the occasional intermittent fast can have tremendous therapeutic value as a hormetic stressor through reductions in insulin, through the liberation of fat from adipose tissue, and through the creation of ketone bodies. However, if you are experiencing adrenal or thyroid issues, or you have severe blood sugar dysregulation, or if you are overly stressed in some manner or another, then yes, fasting may not be the best idea for you. Or if you're the type who's going to fast all morning and then grab a tray of donuts on the way to work, then yeah, you probably shouldn't be fasting. That's going to lead to a disordered eating pattern. But odds are the occasional fast for somebody that has that kind of blood sugar issues will likely result in improved insulin sensitivity, and you probably won't go reaching for that tray anymore if it's something you actively work on. And you actually include adequate food intake when you've broken that fast. You know, that first meal of the day, what's it called? Break fast. I wonder why. Because you're breaking your fast. Fasting, not a bad thing. Don't be afraid. So why are we always told that we're going to go immediately into starvation mode if we miss a meal or if we don't eat 6 meals a day? Well, there's two main reasons why. One relies on thermic effect of food. When you eat, your metabolism gets a short spike. Now, if you eat a lot of food, it actually gets a much bigger spike, and it lasts for longer. If you eat a little food, yeah, you get a little boost over the course of the day. But the crazy thing is at the end of the day, regardless of how you ate them and how many meals you ate them in, that thermic effect, the amount of energy it's going to take down to break down that food, is going to be the same at the end of the day, regardless if you ate them in 3, 6, 9, 52 meals. It doesn't matter. The amount of energy it takes to break that food down is dependent on both the macronutrient ratio and the total caloric intake. So eating 6 meals a day is not going to stoke the metabolic fuel any more than eating 3 is, or 2, or even 1. The next big reason why we're told that you're going to go immediately into starvation mode is the fact that it's really tough to cook and eat 6 meals a day. So what do you end up doing? Well, you're going to buy supplement powders, and you're going to buy snack bars, and you're going to buy all these other chips and things. Oh, but I need to have my snacks during the day. No, you really don't. Just eat more. Eat more real food, and you won't need to snack in the middle. Fast occasionally. Get your blood sugar on point. You're not going to die after a couple of hours of a fast. So, your biggest takeaways for today. Does the starvation mode exist? Does your muscle eventually get broken down if you go too long without eating? Yeah, it does. Is it going to take 1 meal? Nope. Is it going to take 1 day? Nope. So stop worrying about going into starvation mode. Not only is it scientifically wrong, it's intellectually insulting to people who actually are starving. Worrying about going into starvation mode is a very much first world problem. Beyond that, again, the occasional intermittent fast can be very therapeutic as a hormetic stressor. But that comes with the caveat, do not be overly stressed in other areas of your life. So if you want some more information to know about that stress we were just talking about, and whether you can use it to your own benefit, like in the case of intermittent fasting, take a look at this video over here. If you want some more information about calories and if they actually matter, take a look at this video over here now. So, hopefully I helped you out, guys. You know what to do, though. Like and subscribe down below. Share it with your friends. Head over to Instagram and Twitter and follow me at Mike the Caveman, over on Facebook at Paleo Prime Long Island, and of course over on MikeTheCaveman.com. That being said, have a wonderful rest of your day. Go fast a little. Skip some breakfast. You'll be okay. I promise. And I'll see you tomorrow.